Good everyone, in this video today we have a review on the PBV301. As I promised, this would be a tank video on the return of the channel and everything, and obviously with the new mic settings and everything. Just bear in mind there might be a few things to change, so I'm sorry to those who are new if there's any issues throughout the video. I'm terribly sorry for that. I'm still learning at the end of the day. This is a brand new microphone, still trying to get things set up, so terribly sorry if you have any issues throughout the video. So, to begin with, the PBV301 is based off the Stridsvagen M41, which obviously I have in the lineup down there. And there are obviously a lot of changes. For a start, this thing's had a bit of, well, it looks like it's got a tumor on its head for a start. But, yeah, there's a lot to talk about in terms of changes to this vehicle that make it far different from the STRV M41 that you might be used to. First off, the main cannon. This is an Akan M45B 20mm autocannon. This is the same cannon found on the J21 series of aircraft. However, if we quickly go over to the J21, you'll notice the penetration is a lot different. What you have to remember is Tank Forces uses different calculations to aircraft. I believe it's called the DeMar formula. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's what Ground Forces uses. So that's why the penetration is higher than what you would expect. As a result, the penetration is 42mm at 10 meters if we quickly just go to the belts. I recommend using the pure armor-piercing tracer belt. The armor-piercing rounds are very good against tanks and are very good against aircraft as well. However, it might take a few more to down a plane purely because it's armor-piercing. And if you're hitting something like a biplane, it's just going to pass right through it. But you get my point. Maybe you could carry a magazine of this, but given how low the explosive charge is, at just 6 grams, I personally wouldn't suggest it. But of course, it's not just all about the armament. Let's go into the mobility and the armor of this vehicle. We'll start off with the armor. The armor is 15mm thick on the front, sloped back at 53 in some places. This frontal part here is just 15 with a 14-degree slope, and the driver's hatch has a little bit more protection, but that's not saying much. The top here is only 8, which means 50 caliber will cut through this like a hot knife through butter. As a result, because your commander's head is right there, you're heavily likely going to get killed by stuff like M16s, and as a result, it's really not going to help in the long run. Side armor is 8mm thick, the rear armor is 8mm thick, and the top is also 8mm thick, and the underside is as well, making this vehicle quite lightly armored, but it helps out with its mobility a little bit. Now, stock, the mobility is quite poor, and as a result, you're going to see that in this match, which I'm going to be showing you in a couple of moments. But of course, we have to go through the table first to indicate how the Spade went. The top speed is 28.1 miles per hour. I barely hit 25 in most cases. And in this match, I don't even think I hit that because I didn't have the engine mods in this battle. Now, whilst this does show a high kill game, just remember the table is truthful and the table is written to be as exact as possible. Even though this shows a high kill game in this video, don't take it with a grain of salt because you're not always going to get that, and not just that. It's also down to the fact that it also shows off in this battle the problems with this vehicle. So one of the main flaws with this vehicle is the gun elevation. At just 40 degrees elevation, its job as an SPAA is rather limited. And with its cannon having such a high rate of fire, you burn through the magazines, which are 75 rounds each, very quickly. And as a result, you will find yourself reloading quite a bit, and most importantly, at this BR of 2.3, you will have 3-3 matches, and you will see stuff that you literally cannot penetrate from nearly every angle. So don't expect to be side shooting everything, frontally penning everything. It's just not going to happen. You have to use the mobility of the vehicle, and also this thing's little party trick, which you can probably see in the smoke discharges there. This thing comes with 6 smoke grenades. For some reason, I don't know if this is just me or if anyone else has this bug, but sometimes this vehicle launches 3 and sometimes it launches all 6. I'm not sure why, but that's just how it is. To go into the reverse rate as well, the reverse is just 4 miles per hour, so if you get yourself in a bad spot, that's on you, and as far as I'm concerned, yeah, you're not having a good time. Now, a potential buff to this vehicle, because only having 2 crew is not really helpful, but first off, before I mention what I would buff this thing with, you want to angle to your left-hand side. This is because the engine sits just here and has a chance of absorbing the shot, so your driver and commander / gunner remain alive. As a result, you do want to, well, obviously do it once you get FP in parts, because otherwise you'll look an idiot, but that's what I suggest doing if you encounter an enemy tank. And with 9 degrees of gun depression, you can certainly get your gun on target. Now, a potential buff to this vehicle is, obviously, this is not actually an anti-aircraft vehicle. This is supposed to be an armoured personnel carrier. A potential buff would be to put a couple of crew members back here, maybe loaders or something, because this could also boost the reload rate of this vehicle, because it could do with a bit of a buff, if I was to be brutally honest. But that's just what I see, and what I would do. I don't recommend them buffing it, because I think it's perfectly fine how it is, but that's just something for the future, should they need it. Okay, so now that we've gone over the vehicle in detail, we're going to go to the hangar. There is a timestamp in the description below from this point on, and that will have the match beginning, if you want to skip the results of the table. But otherwise, let's go take a look at the table. And now you join me on my desktop. As you can tell, we are on my photos here, because this is where I keep my tables, and this is just the easiest way to do it. So, it took 7 matches to spade the vehicle, and in 3 of these matches I did end up getting aces, but that's where we need to really discuss this vehicle a bit more, but we'll do that after the table. So battle number 1 was no air kills, no ground kills, 1 assist, no caps, I did die, 577 SL, 361 RP. Battle number 2 was 0 air kills, 2 ground kills, 2 assists, didn't capture any bases, but I did die, 3,456 SL, 1,131 RP. Battle number 3 was 0 air kills, 5 ground kills, 4 assists, no caps, didn't die, 14,373 SL, 2,543 RP. Battle number 4 was 0 air kills, 1 ground kill, 2 assists, no caps, did die, 6,180 SL, 1,740 RP. Battle number 5, which is the match you're going to be seeing today, 2 air kills, 5 ground kills, no assists, did capture 1 base, did die, 7,868 SL, 2,236 RP. Battle number 6 was 0 air kills, 0 ground kills, 1 assist, no caps, did die, 568 SL, 302 RP. And finally, the match to spade the tank was 0 air kills, 7 ground kills, 3 assists, sorry, my throat's a little bit dry this morning, 1 cap, did die, 7,824 SL, 3,354 RP. Now, before I continue, I'll briefly state here if you should get the vehicle. I think you should. It's a nice little vehicle to play. Just bear in mind that it won't be as consistent as you might think when it comes to tank busting. And for aircraft busting, it's not that great. But you probably will be using this thing as a tank destroyer anyway, so it's just the best way to utilize the vehicle, because the 40 degrees of gun elevation really doesn't help it. But anyway, we're going to go to the match now, and let's go take a look at how match number 5 went. See you in a moment. Okay, as it turns out, I did a bit of a boo-boo. This is not match number 5. Probably should have checked that, but I haven't had my caffeine this morning, so can't say I was really thinking about that. This is match number 3, I believe, the one with 5 kills. So, yeah, this was a bit of a boo-boo on my part, I'll be brutally honest and admit that. I saved the wrong replay, okay? Give me credit. With that much, I've had that much to sort out, like what to do with the actual new PC, new mic, everything. I've had that much to do. Saving replays is kind of a backseat, And turns out the other one that I wanted to use, that's in my recycle bin. And yeah, it's just quicker to use a replace, and then I don't have to waste anyone's time with just... Well, I mean, it doesn't technically waste your time, because you're still getting a replay. But, yeah. Sorry for the boo-boo, but you still get a good match either way. So, in this match, I had just unlocked the parts, FPE, and the pure armor-piercing belt. As a result, you'll notice on the enemy team there's actually quite a lot of tanks that I just can't penetrate. I fired at the stug there, no penetration was achieved, and unfortunately, that's the only way I'm potentially going to get some damage, is if you get players who do that. Unfortunately, he realised what I was trying to do, and well, now he's pointed his frontal armor to me, which I cannot penetrate. So I've reloaded, and I'm getting back behind some cover. I gave Sphinx there, my squad mate, who is in this match, some covering fire. And now we can, hopefully, watch as he guts that Panzer IV like a fish. And hopefully I can support him on the flank here. But of course, as I've mentioned, the penetration on the gun is not amazing. Sphinx just took out the stug over there, and soon enough we're both going to move to that position over there where my gun was just looking. Let's just say, I actually kind of feel embarrassed that I made a boo-boo, but to be brutally honest, this is still a good match either way, and it does showcase the problems with the vehicle, so I'm not really fussed in that regard. That sucks though, because the replay that I wanted to use was just so batshit insane. But then again, this is a bit more down to earth, so I'm actually kind of glad that I made the mistake. But even so. So at this point, I spot a Panzer IIIJ, and I wasn't really sure if I could penetrate his turret at this angle. Short answer is no. I fire a couple of rounds, but I'm just wasting ammo here. But as you can tell, the turning on the spot, or should I say the traversing when stationary for the most part, is rather poor. But something like a murder, at least you can get an assist off. That's assist number 2, by the way. Assist number 1 came from the stug, if anyone was curious. But this is where I have to capitalize on what the enemy does as a mistake. Because we're about 400 to 500 meters away from the enemy vehicles here, I have to consider that I have to rely on them making a mistake in order for me to benefit from it. And you'll notice this play in this vehicle. So first off, there's an M3A3 there, who I decided to give him a couple of 20s. And there he goes, I turret ringed him. That's kill number 1. And there's the Panzer III, his gunman that actually eats the 20mm, because I was hoping to take out the barrel. But unfortunately, I just can't penetrate that armor at this distance. And as I said, this thing isn't really meant to be played as a tank destroyer, but to be brutally honest, it's the best thing for it. I mean, it's not really good as an SPAA, it's not really good as a vehicle that can anti-tank at long distance. But when you get stuff like a Flak Panzer 38, it's really not that much of a problem. I did spot the Puma over there, and there's also a Crusader, a French Crusader. And Sphinx got taken out by the Puma that was over there, but don't worry, I'm going to get an avenge for him. But me and Sphinx was talking about the vehicle in this match, and I was just describing to him how it plays. And I said to him, the penetration isn't amazing, but if you know what to look for, you can still have a good match. But it's just about how to use it. But it just depends, really. So here you can see I'm looking for the Stuka, because there's a Stuka that's just bombed one of our ground targets right now. And as you can see, the gun goes up quite a bit, but just not enough. And there is a 109 up. and I think I do take some pot shots at him, but I just can't consistently hit him because he's out of my gun elevation. And here you can see one of the benefits of the PBV. The gun is actually mounted quite high up, so I was able to shoot over that rock and keep the hull protected. That's kill number 3. And that just shows you what you can use with this vehicle. You can just stick the 20mm out, and you can engage ground forces that way. Just bear in mind though, you won't be able to penetrate the majority of tanks that you meet at your BR, simply because they have too much armor. From the side it's possible, as I've already mentioned, but it's recommended to try and get side shots if you can. Frontally on, your best hope is to go for a barrel shot and then the tracks. So we've got a couple of minutes of quietness here, just to skip ahead. There is that 109 up. I do take some pot shots at him, I believe when he respawns in a Stuka, because I think he comes back in a Stuka in a couple of moments. There's also another flak panzer over there, which I do take some shots at. And well, there he goes. That's kill number 4. One other point I'd like to mention is the shrapnel on the 20mm is actually rather weak. It only fragments in about 2 places, and they're both within the area that you're going to hit your target anyway. So the shrapnel is rather pathetic, if I was to be brutally honest. But that's just how it is, unfortunately. So moving on, the vehicle itself, as you can tell, is not very mobile. I've mentioned this before. It just doesn't like to maneuver. Its acceleration when stock is not amazing, and its top speed when stock, well, it ain't hitting 28 unless you throw it off a cliff, let's put it that way. But right now, I'm moving towards the B point to grab some more magazines, because I only get 6. So, yeah, I kind of want some extra ammo if I can. And this is where a teammate is having some trouble, but I'm keeping the gun locked that way because I want to see if I can get some shots in. Potentially, of course. Of course, I'm keeping an eye out on that side, and it's at this moment where I'm about to flush my clip to grab another magazine anyway, because if I'm down to 22 bullets with the shells, technically speaking, because it's a cannon, given that I need to, well, not only flush the clip, but also how fast this gun fires, swapping out for a fresh mag is the best decision on a cap. The reload doesn't take that long, and, well, that long compared to some AA, but you get my point. So here I spot the Stuka again, who's coming back, and he's gonna bomb, I believe, the tank destroyer that's near the B point right now. I think he is anyway. No, it's a Crusader. And now he's going to do the same again. He's going to return back to base. I did take a couple of shots at him, but it was heavily unlikely to hit him. And this is where I capitalize on the Panzer III being disabled. And there we go. Kill number 5. And that is an ace in the PBV 301. So I hope that gives off a good, shall we say, showcase of what the vehicle can do, even if I made a slight boo-boo. And I hope it shows you as well the limits of the vehicle, because obviously it can't penetrate everything. It's not like a German SPAA, like the Flak Panzer, which can pretty much frontally pen most things it meets, especially at this BR. But what you're going to remember is you have to position yourself accordingly. As you saw with the instance when I engaged that Puma, he wouldn't have been able to fire back at me very easily because only my gun was sticking over the top. It's very hard to get a shot like that. But I hope you enjoyed today's review on the PBV 301. I would recommend getting this vehicle because it's certainly better than some of the other SPAs that Sweden gets. And well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you're new here, well, I hope my mic settings weren't too bad to say it's my first attempt. But if there was any issues, I'm going to correct them as quickly as possible. But anyway, I'll see you all on the next one.